We'll be continuing still with the set A, okay? Because that's the only question I have with me. So question number 101, okay? So here we'll still continue with the grammar section. So the first question here says choose the correct meaning for the given words from the alternative given below, okay? Now here the word given is 101, elated. So when we say someone is elated, it generally means that that person is happy, you know, or quite joyous about it. So the correct option will be D, okay? Joyful. Question number 102, meticulous. So again, this is a, way to describe something or someone. So when we say someone is very meticulous in his work, it is simply means that he is very attentive to detail, very careful in what he does, okay? So the correct option would be A, okay? So 103 is pusillanimous. So this is a very tough word, but if you have gone through past year's question, 2023 question, you will, you will be able to answer this correctly because this has been asked previously also, okay? So the word that describes pusillanimous is timid or lacking courage, okay? So this is not the first time that they are asking, okay? So one good thing about going through past year's question is this. 104. The correctly punctuated sentence is, now here we have a sentence, okay? We have a sentence, and then the sentence has been punctuated with a comma, okay? Now if you look at the first sentence, we see that the third option is correct because here it says, however hard I tried, that is the first part of the sentence, I could not succeed. That is the second part of the sentence. So we have two clauses here, which are connected with a column, semicolon, comma, okay? So the correct option is C. Question number 105. The idiom to hit the nail on the head means when you say you are hitting the nail on the head, it simply means that you are saying something or doing something that is exactly right, okay? Because you are hitting the nail on the head, which means you are striking or you're hitting it at the right point, right? So to say or do something that is exactly right, okay? Now, question number 106 to 113, we have a very long paragraph, okay? So I won't go through the entire paragraph. We'll just go through the questions only, okay? So the first question here, the paragraph in just one sentence, it talks about this, a government formed by the majority government as well as the where the opinion of the minority lies, okay? So this is just a basic, paradox of a democracy as well as how the majority and minority functions, okay? The entire passage. Now, question number 106. Which of the following best embodies the author's basic position in that passage, okay? So if you go through the paragraph and options, you will see that second option is the most appropriate position of the passage, which says that neither governments nor majorities have the legitimate right to silence dissenting opinions, okay? So this is the correct option. Now let's come to 107. We can never be sure that the opinion we are endeavoring to stifle is a false opinion. Now, the author's argument in the above sentence primarily support which of the following. Now, if you go through the passage, here it says that we can never be sure that the opinions we are endeavoring, right, to stifle is a false opinion. It says here that the author is saying that, no matter how right we think we are, no matter how much we think we are right, there's always a small chance that, or we can at least there be a little bit of uncertainty that whatever voice we are trying to stifle or whatever voice we are trying to stop others from raising their voice, it may be a false opinion also, right? Which means we may be also wrong. So if you look through the option, the correct option will be C, okay? Those who try to suppress alternative opinions are themselves fallible, right? Their refusal to let opinions be heard is unjustified, okay? 108. According to the passage, why is the silencing an opinion regarded as especially harmful? So the correct option is D, okay? It robs not only the present generation, but posterity of truth or the means to test the truth, which means if you are trying to silence someone, so we are robbing out the present generation of the truth that is to be discovered, okay, or the means of test or upon which the truth can be tested upon, right? 109. Which of the following is an antonym of the word coercion? Now, when we say coercion means you are forcing someone, right? Which means you are forcing someone to do injurious, right? You're intimidating someone, or you are no, asking someone to do it compulsively, right? So these are all synonymous, but we have to search the word antonym, right? So the correct option is persuasion. So when you persuade someone, you are not forcing it to do them, right? Jabardasty, when you're persuading. So when you persuade means you are trying to convince them to do it, right? So the correct option is A, okay? If all 110, if all mankind minus one were of one opinion, and only one person were of the contrary opinion, the clause beginning with the if is an example of. Now, if you look at the sentence, it gives you some kind of an hypothetical situation, right? It says that suppose if, if every person in this world has the same voice except one person, right? Except one person who were of contrary opinion. So this is a kind of an hypothetical situation, that the author is assuming, okay? So the correct option will be, what type of clause it is? It is the conditional clause, right? Because it starts with if, no? Some kind of hypothesis or some kind of condition, right? That the author is describing. So the correct option is C, okay?
Sir,
Yeah.
106. Could you please tell me 106?
Row 6 is number B.
Correct answer. Thank you.
The correct option.
Thank you, sir.
Then let's come to 111, okay? Those who desire to suppress it, of course, deny its truth, but they are not infallible. The semicolon in the above clause primarily functions. Now, here we have a sentence, okay? And in that sentence, we have a semicolon. Now, what is the function of semicolon in this sentence? So you see that there are basically two sentences, and with the help of those semicolon, we're actually connecting these two sentences, okay? So the function of the semicolon in this sentence is to join the two independent but closely related clauses, right? We have two clauses here, the first clause, primary clause, and there's the secondary clause, right? So we are joining these two clauses with the help of a semicolon. And that's why the answer is A, okay? 112. The power itself is illegitimate. The word illegitimate most of us are quite aware of the word illegitimate, which means it is unlawful, right? Not justified. So the correct option is A, okay? In the peculiar evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it is robbing the human race. So the word peculiar most nearly means, so we have to find the word meaning of the word peculiar. So here peculiar means, if you look at the four options, we see that the correct option is C, right? Something very peculiar, something characteristics, or something that is very special to that situation, right? So the correct option is C, okay? Now here we have another a very large paragraph, okay? I'm not going through it. We'll just go through the questions, okay? So I've seen that the question, the comprehension is quite lengthy also, okay, this year. 114, can so little leaven so great a lump, okay? The word leaven in the above sentence most nearly means, no, here it's given a very big complex sentence, okay? Can so little a leaven so great a lump, right? Now we have to see the meaning of the word leaven, right? The word leaven in the above sentence most nearly means, so if you look at the four options, the correct option is catalyst, okay? So catalyst or action of change, which means can something so small, no, give rise to something so great, right? So this is the meaning of the sentence, okay, in the above sentence. That easy and general forward movement dash has been checked violently and perhaps arrested altogether. The phrase has been checked is in which tense, right? So we have different, tense in different form, right? Now here we have has, okay. So anything that has a has is a perfect in its perfect form, right? So it's not a continuous form. Continuous go to the ing form directly or the verb is in it. No. So has is there and it's in the past tense, right? Has is in the present, right? But although the has, although it is past here, been checked, but the auxiliary verb is in the present tense, right? So the correct form of tense is present perfect tense, right? If it is a past perfect tense, it will be had been checked, okay? But because the has, the auxiliary verb is in the present tense, it should be a present perfect, okay? In the sentence, we are in one of those phases of experience which has become cardinal in history. The word which refers to. Now here, before the word which, there is this phrase, phases of experience, okay? Now these phases of experience is functioning as a singular, functioning together as one, okay? So the word which is referring to actually the phases of experience, right? They are not describing the experience alone, okay? It's a phases of experience as a phrase should come together. So the correct option is B, okay? 117. What does humanity need the most to address the current predicament that stems from the reckless use of technological progress? So if you go through the option through the paragraph and the options, you'll see that it is the collective wisdom for effective intervention. Okay, this is straight from the paragraph, the passage. 118. What is the logical analogy the author uses when he compares humanity's past conflict to children in a crowded nursery and war in the modern age to a razor blades with poison? So if you look at the sentence, he said past conflicts has been compared to children in a crowded nursery, right? But the war in the modern age is compared to a razor blades with poison, which means all wars were not very fatal, right? Means past conflicts are like children in a crowded place, which means all wars were not so fatal. But the war in the modern age is like a razor blade with a poison, which means the new ones are very deadly, right? The new wars are quite deadly than the old ones, okay? 119. It was only in the 19th century that the large-scale production of cast steel and growth of chemical knowledge made the military use of a variety of explosive predictable. The dependent clause beginning with that dash serves to. Now here we have a sentence, okay? Now here, this is the main clause, okay? And this is the remaining part is the dependent clause. Now the dependent clause is beginning with the word that, right? The dependent clause beginning with the word that, right? Now, if you look just before that, it was only in the 19th century. So it is describing something, time, right? So that is relating to the time, right? So the correct option is show time, right? Because the word that shows or indicates or points towards a certain time, right? Because here just before the word that, it describes a certain time period, right, in history. The phrase a crescendo of invention and discovery refers to, so when we say a crescendo of invention and discovery, it simply means the steady rise of invention, okay? So the passage itself is describing how modern technology has progressed and which has given rise to, how fatal the war has been and this and that, okay? So it's the phrase a crescendo of invention and discovery simply means that how technological process or invention or developmental progress has taken place, okay? Here we have a phrase, the radiogram and the telegram have made every event of importance a simultaneous event for the minds of everyone in the world, which means Here we have to find, it says that how communication has played an important role, right? That things that are happening in one part is, it's under the knowledge of people in the other parts of the world. Okay, just the sentence itself description is that only. Now, the word simultaneous most nearly means, so when we say something is simultaneous, which means it is occurring at the same time, right? The word itself simultaneous means occurring at the same time, okay? Now, question number 122 to 130 is based on a passage given below. So here it describes a certain people, okay? Let's go directly to the question here, 122. There was a considerable difference between the ages of my parents, but these circumstances seem only to unite them. It says that his father and mother, that person's his father and mother, there was a certain age difference, okay? And only, but is there. But these circumstances, that is the age difference, has only seemed to unite them, right? That age difference has made them together, the parents, okay? So the best rephrasing of the above sentence is, so if we were to rephrase this sentence, it will be number C, okay? The large age gap between them appeared to have brought them closer together, right? The parents, okay? In the sentence, he sought to surround her with all that he could excite pleasurable emotions in her soft and benevolent mind. The word benevolent means, we all know it means a kind-hearted, right? Which of the following best embodies the central theme of the passage? Now, if you go through the passage, the closest thing is true nobility lies in the kindness and self-sacrifice rather than rank, okay? 125, the word distinguish most nearly means, so distinguish ko liye to honored, right? 126, he was respected by all those who knew him for his integrity and indefatigable attention. The word indefatigable means, so if you know the word defatigable, it simply means the quality of never giving up, right? 127, in the sentence, they had no other prospect of support but Caroline Buford was brave. So the conjunction here means, so here it's given as sentence, okay? They had no other prospect of support. Okay, this is the first part of the sentence. Then we have a conjunction, but, okay? Caroline Buford was brave. So if you go through the sentence, we have to find what role does or what is the meaning of the word but here, okay? Here, if you look at the sentence, you can break down into two parts, right? It means that whatever they're referring to, they had no other support, right? No other prospect of support. However, that particular person, that is the Caroline Buford, was brave, right? So the correct option is D, okay? Because the word but can be replaced with however here, right? And it came to the poor girl like a guardian angel. The phrase like a guardian angel in the above clause is functioning as like, means what it is, we are comparing it, right? The father like a guardian angel. So it will be an adverbial simile, right? Simile means when we are comparing something, right? As cold as ice, as hard as a rock. These are simile, right? So here also we are comparing the father to a guardian angel, right? So it is a adverbial simile, okay? Complete the sentence given below. He went to seek him out in the hope of persuading him to begin the world again. In the hope of persuading him to begin the world again. If you to get the four options given in, the correct option would be to begin the world again, right? So you can just look at the fill up with the help of the sentences. Okay, the sentence is extracted from the passage only. So you can just refer to the passage to get the right option. What, according to the passage, primarily motivated the narrator's father to marry Caroline? So if you go through the options again, you'll see that it is he felt compassion for her and wanted to protect her, right? That's where the grammar ends. Now we'll start the computer section, okay? Which of the following is not a component of data communication? So I've also explained it in my class. We need sender, right? We need receiver. For transmission of data, right, over a network, we need a set of protocols also, right? Like transmission protocol, control protocol, internet protocol. These are the different protocols that are required, right? These are the rules. But scanner is not required, right? So the correct option is D, okay? Which unit is used to measure the bandwidth? Now, the correct option is hertz, right? 200 hertz, 300 hertz, these are different bandwidths, right? Which of the following, 133, which of the following is not a graphical user interface element? Now, here the correct option is shell commands, okay? Because all these three are parts of the graphical user interface element, right? Because with the help of this, we're able to communicate with the computer, right? So all these forms, all these three forms part of the graphical user interface, okay? 134. Which of the following statements are incorrect? A graphical user interface allows users to interact with the computer using icons and menu, right? This is true. Windows 10 is an example of graphical user interface based operating system. This is also true, right? It's a type of operating system and it is a GUI based, right? GUI based operating system cannot support multitasking. This is wrong, right? We can always, even by looking at the previous option, Windows 10, we can do multitask, right? We can perform different types of tasks at the same time. So it supports multitasking, and GUI stands for graphical user interface, okay, not intelligence. So the correct option is A and B only. That is option B, right? What dynamic web page? So what is a dynamic web page, Polito? The correct option is 30 A, okay? That is the definition itself of dynamic web page means it's a web page whose content is generated in real time, right? Based on user interaction or various other variables. Which of the following statements about communication latency in a network is correct? So when we say latency in a communication network, it is the time taken from the sender to the receiver. Okay, so whenever we try to communicate, right, between a sender and the receiver, we send the data, right, from the sender to the receiver. So it takes time, right, because they are located in different places of the world. That time taken is known as latency, okay? So if you look at the four options, we have to see which one is correct, okay? Latency is not the total data sent, okay, because it is the time taken, right, for the data to transmit from the sender to the receiver. This is the correct option, okay? High latency can affect real-time collaboration tools like video conferencing. So if there is in a network, suppose there is a high latency kulito, you're speaking to the particular person, but it will take time to reach to that person, right? Similarly, if when the person is replying back also, it will take some time to reach the first person, okay? So it can affect the real-time collaboration tools like video conferencing, okay? Now here two lists, okay? The first list deals with the uniform URL components, okay? The first one is the URL component. Second part is an examples of URL components, right? So if you look through the options, so the HTTPS, this is the protocol, right? So A is 2, right? Is domain. Now, which one is the domain? Domain is youtube.com, right? This is the domain group. So that is next is, so first is 2, second one is B is 1, right? Now we have query, string, and subdomain, right? So this is a subdomain, okay? D3, this is a subdomain, and the last one is the query string, okay? So the correct option is D. In general chat application, which of the following is not required for sending a text message? So in order to send a text message, we need the sender's ID, right? We need the recipient's ID, right? Only because ID, the data can be transferred from the sender's ID to the recipient's ID. Third one is we need the network protocol, right? Because anything connected to a network or an internet requires the internet protocol. So the correct option is D, because the physical device serial number is not required, okay, while sending a message. 139. What is the speed of the T1 list line? So this is 1.5 Mbps. Okay, this is around 1.5 Mbps. What is the term for using 140? What is the term for using a computer program to create, edit, and produce text document? We all know this is the word processing, right? MS Word is the most common type of example. 141. In a computer system, what is the main role of the system bus? Now, if you look at the back of a CPU or on the side of a laptop, you'll see that there are, spaces available through which we can connect our mouse, your pen drive, your hard drive, right? So those are the bus, okay? So the main function is to transfer data and signal among the CPU, memory, and the peripheral devices, okay? So this is the main function of bus. So when we say USB cable, so it stands for Universal Serial Bus, right? Which of the following is a system software? So it's quite easy. Windows is a type of system software, right? All these are application software, right? These are specific tasks. Applications. These are application software, okay? 1 Mbps equals to how many kbps? So this is easy. A, right? 1024 kbps. 144. Which of the following is not a wired transmission medium? Now, type of cable is a type of wired transmission medium, right? So coaxial cable, fiber optic cable, twisted pair cable. These are all the different types of wired transmission medium, right? So the correct option is D, okay? Because the question is not, right? Microwave is a wireless. In microwave transmission, we don't require any wireless, right? 145. Which additional functionality does Excel 2007 provide for managing data in pivot tables? Here, the correct option is sorting and filtering of data, okay? Which of the following is an example of hardware? The computer software is a type of hardware, right? Q is a type of hardware, right? Because Microsoft Word, these are all softwares only, right? Which of the following is an example of graphical user interface based operating system? So this is Windows 10. So all those softwares which we are actually using in our day-to-day life is a GUI based operating system only, okay? 148. What is the basic structure of a spreadsheet? So it's a matrix of rows and columns, right? Rows are the horizontal, columns are the vertical components, right? 149. Which of the following is an example of half double communication? So half double, it's a walkie-talkie, right? So half double, what happens, the first person will speak, right? Person 1 and person 2. Through walkie-talkie, they will speak. And then when person 1 is speaking, person 2 can only listen, okay? Person 2 cannot speak at the same time. So when the person 1 has stopped speaking, person 2 can start speaking, right? So when the person 2 is speaking again, that time person 1 has to only listen, right? That is half duplex, okay? When it is a full duplex communication, both we can talk and listen at the same time, right? Like a mobile phone. 150. Which of the following is the fastest transmission medium? Now, if you look at this 4 option, the fastest is fiber optic cable, okay? Here in this type of cables, we use a certain glass material, right? Which allows for refraction, right? Within the signals are refracted back. So fiber optic cables are the fastest, okay? 151. Consider the following units of digital storage and arrange them in the correct ascending order. Now, 4096 KB, 2 MP, 8192 GB, and 3 terabyte, right? So 4096 is 409, okay? Now the 2 MP is 2 into 10 1024 kb, right? So which is 2048 kb, right? 8192 is GB, and 3 terabyte is 3 into 1024 GB is equal to 7 0. If you look at this 4, then we see that this is the list, right? B is the list. Then after that, next is A. After that, this. After that, C. So B, A, T, C. Correct option is C, right? That's what is an icon. So if see when we say in a graphical user interface, so if you look at the computer, open a computer, and then you see in your Windows screen, you see a number of icons, right? So these are the small pictures that represents a program and a file, right? On your desktop, those small pictures are the icons, right? So when we say graphical user interface, it simply means Windows only, okay? Don't get confused. 153. How are computers on the internet connected to each other? So computers on the internet can be connected in different ways, right? Sometimes it can be connected via cables, right? Broadband services. Sometimes it can be connected through telephone line. पुराना जमाना time we were connecting internet through dial-up connection, right? Phone lines. Sometimes it can be done through satellite connection also, right? So computers on the internet can be connected in different ways, okay? 154. How do you connect to Microsoft network? So the correct option is C, okay? Using dial-up networking. 154. Which of the following is not a valid IP address? Okay, so in an IP address, there will be 4 numbers, okay? 2. And each of these numbers is separated by a dot, okay? And each of these numbers should be anything between 0 to 255, okay? It should be between 0 to 255. Same here also, and same here also, okay? So if you see, everything here is between 0 and 255, right? But here, this is 256. So this is not permitted. It should be only between 0 and 255. So the correct option is D, okay? Because it is not a valid IP address. 156. What is the purpose of the table auto format in MS Word? Now in MS Word, there's some, you can add tables also, right? You just need to go to the insert option and then you can insert a table. Now in that insert table option, once you insert the table, there is a table auto format option, okay? So when we use this table auto format option, you can apply predefined styles and designs to a table, okay? So this is the function of table auto format. So the even if you don't know in exam, even the word from the word table auto format, you can decipher a meaning, right? Which corresponds roughly to this only. 157. Which of the following is a valid email service provider? So what is a valid service email provider? It is Gmail, right? 158. Which of the following is an example of asynchronous collaboration in network? Now, the correct option is A, okay? Now, see, there's something called the Google Docs, okay? So here, if you share this Google Docs, if you edit it and create a file of Google Docs, you can, different people can edit it at the same time, okay? Now, one example is using during like, you can all create that document, right? A Google document, and you can share that document with your friends, and all your friends can easily edit it at the real time, okay? So if someone is editing, means it will be altered in your document also, okay? So that is a type of asynchronous collaboration in networking, okay? 159. What does the term user refers to in a computer system? So user is the person, right, in a computer system. The one who is inputting the data, right? The individual operating the computer is the user, okay? What operating system do servers typically run in larger windows? So it is Windows NT or network operating system. Which of the following is a main characteristics of characteristics of random access memory? So when we have a random access memory, it means these are said to be volatile in nature, right? So when we say a memory is volatile, it means that data is automatically erased when we switch off the computer, right? 162. What does the term booting refers to in a computer? So booting related starting a computer, right? Or loading the operating system. 163. What does SMTP stand for? It stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, right? Term used for computers that provide services to other computers on the internet. So that is servers, right? It is the role and responsibility of the servers to provide services to other computers on the internet, right? So every time you try to access any website web page, you are connecting to a server, right? 165. Analog communication transmit information using, so it's a continuous signal. Okay, so if you look at the analog communication will use what? Analog signal. Okay, so analog signal can actually be represented like this. Okay, so which indicates that they are continuous signal, right? 166. Consider the following statement about a network communication. So here we have 4 sentences and we have to choose which of these sentences are correct. Okay, transmission control protocol is a connection oriented protocol. So this is true, right? As soon as we connect to the internet or connect to a network with other computers, transmission control protocol plays an important role, right? It's a connection oriented protocol. User datagram protocol guarantees delivery of all packets. So actually this is the responsibility of transmission control protocol, internet protocol. Okay, so this is wrong. Ethernet is a common wired communication standard. Yes. It's done using a wired communication system, right? Switches are used to connect multiple devices within the same network. Again, this is true. So the correct options are A, C, and D. Okay. 166. A, C, and D. 167. What is the shared working environment of Microsoft Office 2010 program code? So here, out of these 3 options, the most appropriate option will be B. Will be A. Okay. D. Which of the following functions finds the number of entries in a specified cell? So this is something related to MS Excel. Okay. So we all know that in MS Excel we can use different formulas, right? So for adding we use sum, right? So in order to find the number of entries in a specified cell, how many entries are there in a specified cell? What we use the count. Okay, so the count function is used. ALU stands for arithmetic and logic unit, right? What significant internet-based system was introduced in 1989? So in 1989, what was introduced? World Wide Web, right? And okay. Now here, question 71. So here we are given a tea company, okay? So the tea company produces mixes together 2 types of tea, okay? Blends together 2 variants of tea from 2 tea garden, right? One of the tea costs 180 per kg, and the other tea it costs 200 per kg, okay? Now he is mixing these two tea in the form of 5:3, okay? In that particular packet. If he sells the blended variety at rupees 210 and after mixing the 2 type of tea, he sells that mixture for 210 rupees per kg, okay? So we have to find the can percentage, right? Now here it's given that the T is mixed in the ratio of 5:3, right? Now assume 5x and 3x, okay? Now for 5x, what is the price? 180, right? Per kg. For 3x, the second one is 200 per kg, right? Now suppose we are mixing it together, okay? Which means 5 into 180 is how much? 900, right? Into 200 is how much? 600, right? Now add these two together, it will be 900 plus 600 is 1500, right? So this is 1500, right? Now how much kg we have mixed? 5 kg plus 3, right? Which means we have already mixed 8 kg, right? Because we have already multiplied here, no? 5 into 5 into 3, right? So total is 8 kg. How much is the new rate? 210. So if you multiply this, how much do we get? 1680, right? So what is the difference here? 1680 minus 1500, so you will get 180, right? So percentage is equal to 180, right? Divided by 1500 into 100%. How much? 12%, right? So the correct option is B, okay? 172. 60 kg of an alloy A is mixed with 100 kg of an alloy B. So alloy is a mixture of two or more elements, okay? So here, alloy, we take 60 kg of alloy A, okay? And then we mix it with 100 kg of alloy B, okay? Now that alloy A has two elements, lead and tin, okay? And they're in the ratio of 3:2, right? Alloy B has tin and copper, and they're in the ratio of 1:4. Now we have to find out how much tin is present there in the new alloy, that is in the new mixture, right? Now, see, 60 kg of alloy A, right, is mixing with 100 kg of alloy B, okay? Alloy A has lead and tin in the ratio of 3:2, right? Which means we are going to find for tin, okay? So tin is how much? 2, right? We have to find tin now, okay? 2 by 3 plus 2 is how much? 5 into, for A, what is the total weight? 60 kg, right? So if we do it, then we'll find it as 24, right? 24 kg. Now for B, we have mixture is tin and copper, right? Which is in the ratio of 1:4. Now, how much is the tin here? 1, right? 1 divided by 1 plus 4 is how much? 5 into what is the total weight? 100. So what is the answer here? 20 kg. So total is how much? Tin 24 plus 20 is equal to 44 kg, right? So the correct option is B. Now, if you look here in our question number 173, you see that we have to find here, okay? Now you see that so this is the first row, okay? Here we have a circle and hexagon split half and a parallelogram split into two half, right? The two is we are taking as it is, right? There's no change in the lower section. So similarly, there's no change in the lower section, right? So what is the lower part here? In the lower half, it is in a shape like this, right? Now, upside, if you look at here, if you look here, it has been reversed, right? Upside down correlation. So the actually it was like this, right? The flat surface is downside, but here the flat surface has gone up, right? Here also it has been reversed upside down. So here also we reverse it upside down, which means we'll get something like this, right? So the correct option is C, okay? For a cube painted yellow on all faces is cut into 27 cubes of equal size, which means cube root of 27 is how much? Cube root of 27 is 3, right? Now, in order to cut a cube to have 27 more cube, we have to cut it in this manner, right? We cut it in this manner, we'll get 27 small cubes, right? 9, 9, 9, 9, 3 are 27. So now we have to choose how many small cubes are painted with only one face. Now here on the outside, everything is painted yellow, right? Now we have to choose only those cubes which are painted with only one face. Here, this is not possible, right? Because it has 3 yellow faces. This also 3 yellow, 3 yellow, 3 yellow. Here also 2, right? Because this side and this side is also yellow. This side and this side. So this is also, we'll remove this one also. Which means we'll remove all the 4 corners, okay? Because they carry at least 2 or 3 yellow faces, right? Which means that on each face, only the central cube can be taken into account. So which means that there are 6 faces, 6 in each face there's only 1. So it will be 6. So is A, okay? $175. And alphabet is missing from the term in the given. So here it's given T, R, B, N, L. If you look at the alphabets, you see that it has been reversed, right? And one of the alphabet is missing in each of these, okay? So P, Q, R, S, N, O, L, M, N, right? So these are missing here in between, which means that one of them must be K, right? Someone tell me what is it has already been overwritten. I don't know what is, some of the things are missing here, I think. T, R, P, N, L.
Till L only, sir.
After L.
After L is question mark, sir.
And after that? And then the question mark again.
Question mark.
After that, huh? Okay. So after this, right? So if you see at this arrangement, you will see that between each of these alphabets, one alphabet is missing, right? So K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. Similarly, some alphabets must be missing here also, right? J, right? J, K. Here should be H, and here should be I, right? So if you see, there's one alphabet missing in between all the alphabets in the sequence, okay? So it should be J and H, okay? term in the series. Now here we have a series, okay? It says 2, 2, 5, 13, 28, question mark. So we have a series here with that series has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 numbers have already been given, okay? And we have to find the next number in the series, okay? So now there's two ways to actually solve this. Let's see the first one, okay? 2, 2, 5, 13, 28, okay? If you keep on subtracting these, you will get 0, 3, right? 13 minus 5 is 8. 28 minus 13 is 15, right? Now let's subtract again. 3 minus 0 is 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. 15 minus 8 is 7, right? Again, let's subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. 7 minus 5 is 2, right? Which means that the next number should also have a subtraction of 2, right? So 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Now, the next number should be added here, right? 15 plus 9 is how much? 24, right? Now, we find this number, right? We are reversing it, okay? It's because everything, the last here should be 2, 2 as well. So the last next one also should be 2 here. Which means if you now go up, 7 plus 2 is how much? 9, right? Now, 15 plus 9 is how much? 24, right? Now 24 plus 28 plus 24 is how much? 50, 8, 9, 52, right? So the correct option is D, okay? Or the other way to solve is, so what is the number here? Series 2, 2, 5, 13, 28, right? You will square it minus by 1, okay? 2 square minus 1. 3 square minus 1. 4 square minus 1. 5 square minus 1, okay? So if you sub, you will get here 2, okay? 5, 13, okay? 2, okay? So the answer is 52. So you can solve it in either form, okay? Whichever way you can solve it, you will get the right answer. Choose the odd one from the following. Now, if you look at this 14, you will see that pen writes on the paper, pencil writes on the paper, ink also writes on the paper. So sharpener is the incorrect option, okay? Because it does not write, right? It's just for sharpening the pencil, right? 178. Now here we have a code, okay? T-E-A-C-H-E-R. Teacher is there. And teacher is written in the form of V-G-C-E-J-G-T, right? Now for children, you will see that C is what? C is in the form of E. H is J. I is not there. L is not there. D is not there. R is T, right? E is G. N is not there. So we'll see the one closest to it, okay? It should be EJ, 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 EJ is there. DG, DG, space. So the correct option is D, okay? 179. When N is, right? When N is divided by 4, when N is divided by 4, divided by 4, the remainder is 3. Which means that when N is divided by 4, the remainder is 3. when n is divided by 4. When n is divided by 4, remainder is 3. What is the remainder when 2n is divided by 4? Remainder when 2n is divided by 3. What is the remainder when 2n? Now here, we'll use a certain hypothetical example, okay? Now say suppose you choose a number, okay? Which when divided by 4 is giving remainder as 3. Like for example, say 7 is you're taking, okay? Now you are taking dividing by 4, okay? 4 ones are 4. What is the remainder 3? So consider the n as 7, okay, for example, okay? So we are getting remainder as 3. Now, when 2n is divided by 4, which means 7 2s are how much? 2n will become, well, here we consider it's n as 7, okay? So 2n will become 14, right? Now 14, if we're going to divide it by 4, how much? 4 3s are 12, right? So remainder how much we get? 2, right? So correct option is 2, okay? 48 divided by 12 into 9 by 8 of 4 by 3 divided by 3 by 4 of 2 by 3, okay? Now we all know that Potmas rule will come into play here, right? First we'll do the bracket, then after that of, then after division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction, okay? So here, now we'll first do the bracket part, okay? So it will be 48 divided by 12 into, because bracket there are lots of composite numbers, so we'll just do the off, okay, first. 9 by 8 into 4 by 3, right? Divided by, so we'll do this first, okay? 3 by 4 into office multiplication only, right? And we'll do this, right? 48 divided by 12 into, so if we do 3 3s are 9, 4 2s are 8, right? 3 by 2 divided by 1 by 2, okay? So it will be 48 divided by 12 into 3, right? So it will be 48. Now here, division comes after that only multiplication, right? 48 divided by 2 is 4 into 3 is equal to 12, okay? So answer is D.
Sir. Hello.
Yes. Please tell me.
Sir, so sorry for disturbing, but question number 177, question number 177. By chance, can it the answer be this ing be the correct option?
For me, I think sharpener is the right option because ink also you can write something, right?
Because one in just now, some few minutes ago, one in YouTube, one person he said the option correct should be ink. The odd one is the ink. He said that, and then I was like, I also think it's option C by thinking that the three are solid and ink is liquid. So I was a little more. I was a little confused. So,
For me, my understanding is all pen, pencil, and ink are writing materials, right? You can write with it, or you can print something out of it. So on that perspective, only I chose the sharpener because sharpening doesn't play any role, right? I mean, it sharpens the pencil, of course, to write, but in itself doesn't do the writing action, right?
okay, sir.
So I mean, ink can be an option also. It can be. We'll have to wait for the exact. In such cases, too, we'll have to wait for the NSSB to give us the right answer. But from my understanding, uh, from my reading of the question in itself, so I just went with sharpener because pen, pencil, and ink are used for writing, right? So it's okay. You can just keep the question as it is, as in when the NSSB, the board, gives out the answer key, you can cross-check it, okay? I may be wrong also, of course, and you might be right also. So here though, I can't say for exactly the precise answer, okay? Now let's come to question number. It's fine, nah?
Yes, sir.
So for that question, we can just wait for the NSSB to release the answer key, okay? Here we have an answer statement, okay? So we have to assume that this statement is true, okay? No country is absolutely self-dependent these days. So this statement we have to assume, okay? Now there are two conclusions. Based on this statement, they have given two conclusions. So we have to see which of these conclusions can be drawn out from the given statement. Okay, so statement one, whatever statement is given here, we have to assume that as true. Okay, no country is absolutely self-dependent these days, right? And then these two conclusions are just assume. Okay, now we have to see whether any one of these conclusions can be drawn out from that statement. Okay, from this statement. So here it says it is impossible to grow and produce all that a country needs. So in a way it's true, right? Here it says that no country is absolutely self-dependent, which means it is dependent upon some other countries for one thing or the other, which means that it is unable to produce everything that the country needs, right? That is why they are becoming dependent. So the first statement is correct, okay? Countrymen in general have become lazy. So just because the country is not self-dependent does not mean that the people are lazy, right? The people may be working, just that the conditions of the country is such that it's unable to produce everything that the country needs. So the second option is wrong. So the correct answer to this will be only conclusion one follows. Okay. Now here it says here PEGK is related to ADFJ, right? In the same way, PSVY is related to, now the first one has to be the previous alphabet. Okay, here with the alphabet is previous one. So O should come here, right? OP. Here also the previous alphabet, PQ. Here also previous DE. R, UV, and JK, right? XY. So the option is ORUX. Okay, so we just have to take the alphabet that is previous of this one only. Okay, so previous alphabets only we have to take into account. 183. Okay, Mr. X left for his office in his car. He drove 15 kilometer north. So he traveled 15 kilometer north. Okay, and then 10 kilometers towards the east. So he went 10 kilometer towards the east. Okay, east, west, north, south. And then he turned to the south and covered 5 kilometers. Then he again went 5 kilometers. Further, he turned to the east. Then again, he went to the east and covered moved 8 kilometers. Okay. Finally, he turned to the right. Now, he is facing this side. Okay, he's facing this side. So for him, right side is this one, right? He's facing this side. So right side will have to go down, right? Finally, he turned right and drove 10 kilometers. So again, he went down and drove 10 kilometers. How far the direction is from? So if you see here, this is 10 kilometers and this is 8 kilometers. So the difference will be 2 kilometers, right? And this is the starting point, this is the final point. So final point is 2 kilometers to the west, right? The option is 2 kilometers west, okay? Arrange the following words in a meaningful sequence and choose the most appropriate sequence, okay? Now we have, so this is a very vague question in itself also, okay? It says they are given 4 words, okay? We have to choose in that meaningful sequence. So it doesn't clearly say how do we have to choose. We just have to choose it in a meaningful sequence, okay? And choose the most appropriate sequence. So if we look at the 4 options, we have income, education, well-being, and job. I don't know how we are going to choose the meaningful sequence, but in my opinion, it should be the meaningful or well-being should come first, right? Education should come second, job should come third, and income should come in the fourth, okay? So it should be CBAD, CBDA, okay, CBDA, right? CBDA. So the correct option is D. Again, I'm not very clear on this question also, okay? But the option I can choose is D because here it just says meaningful sequence only. Now let's come to number 185. Here the number of squares in the following figure is, so if you count the number of squares, you will find that if you count single squares, okay, it will be there 16 of that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now let's count 2 by 2, okay? 1, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Plus 9. If you count 3 by 3 squares, you will find 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4. And lastly, if you count 4 by 4 squares, it will be 1. So if you calculate this, it will be 20 plus 10 is equal to 30, right? 6. Now here we have given 6 words, okay? We have to choose it in the as they would appear in that English dictionary, right? Now if you look at the first 3 alphabet, it is A, C, C, right? And after that, there is accompanied in the next word is O. Then I, accidentally I. Then U is there in accuracy, L, right? Then after that, E and E. So if you look at this, next word should be E, right? It should be either this or this, right? Now after E, we have P, right? Accepted. Here we have S. Now if you see, then we see that first will come P and after that S will come, right? P, Q, R, S. So the first option should be accepted, right? Second should be accessory. Third should be, now we have I, right? So it should be accident. L should come. Then after that, accompany will come. Then after that, accuracy will come. So it will be in the form of 5, 6, 5, 6, 2, 4, C. Okay. Now here we have a question, okay? So it looks tough, but it's an easy question, okay? We have 1 root over 9 minus root over 8, right? Minus 1 by root over 8 minus root over 7, okay? Plus 1 by root over 7 minus root over 6. Minus 1 by root over 6 minus root over 5. Plus 1 by root over 5 minus root over 4, okay? Now, let's just take this one for time being, okay? So here we have 1 point root over 9 minus root over 8, right? Now we're just going to multiply this with the root over 9 plus root over 8 so that we can remove the root over in the denominator, okay? So in order to remove the root over in the denominator, we'll just multiply it with the same number with a change of sign, right? Now, if you look this part, if you multiply it, you will see this root over 9 plus root over 8, right? Now, here we see a minus b into a plus b, right? Which will be a square minus b square, right? So it will be root over 9 plus root over 8 divided by 9 minus 8. Okay, so it will be root over 9 plus root over 8. Right? Because 9 minus 8 is 1. Right? So the first number can be simply written as, this part can be simply written as root over 9 plus root over 8. Right? Now minus is there. Minus. Second part also we can just write it as root over 8 plus root over 7. Right? Then we have a plus sign. Plus sign. This one also we can simply write it as root over 7 plus root over 6. Okay? Because just remember that 9, 8, 8, 7, right? 7, 6 and adjust it all. Then next we have a minus sign. Root over 6 plus root over 5. Okay? Minus will become plus root over 5 plus root over 4. So if we look into it, it will be root over 9 plus root over 8 minus root over 8 minus root over 7 plus root over 7 plus root over 6 minus root over 6 plus minus root over 5 plus root over 5 plus root over 4. So all these things can be cancelled out. So it will be root over 9 plus root over 4. So it will be 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. So correct option is A. Okay. $188. Okay. Now here it says that there is a cricket team of 11 members. Okay. So the average age of that 11 players is 28. So if we consider the A, B, C, D as the different players, okay, which means the 11 alphabet is K, right? The average age is, so 11 people, right? So the average age is 28 years, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, J, up to K is the age of the 11 players, okay? And we're dividing it by 11 since it's an average, so we get 28. Now, A plus B plus C all the way up to K is equal to 28 into 11 is equal to 308, okay? So the sum of all the ages, the 11 players, like if we add the age, it will be 308, right? Now here it says that out of these, the average age of 3 groups of players are 25, 28, and 30 years, which means consider the first 3 players as average level 25, which means the sum of them will be 25 into 3, right? Next 3 players to be 28 plus 28 into 3. Average of the 3 next player is 30 years, right? So 30 into 3, right? So this forms the 3 plus 3 plus 3. So 9 players. So we can have 2 players, right? One is the captain and the youngest player, right? So captain, since we have to find the age of the captain, consider it as C, right? And the youngest player is, how are they related? Captain is 11 years older than the younger player, which means younger player is captain minus 11, right? And what is the total age? 308, right? So 25 into 3 is 75, 28 into 3 is 84, 30 into 3 is 90, right? C plus C is 2C minus 11 is equal to 308. So if we add all these things together, you'll get C as 35 years, okay? So the correct option is 35 years. Now we have a farm, okay? In question number 189, we have a farm. And in that farm, we have cows and hens, okay? Now, we all know that cow has 4 legs, right? And 1 head. And chicken has 2 legs and 1 head, right? So cow has 4 legs, right? And hens has 2 legs, right? So total legs will be how many? 4 into chicken plus 2 into hens, right? That is 4c plus 2h. So this is the total number of legs in the farm. Okay. Now total heads will be how many? Since each chicken and each hen and each cow has only one head, so it will be cow plus hens only, right? Now what is the condition that they have given? Number of legs is 14 times, which means legs is equal to 14 more than twice the number of heads. So twice heads plus 14, right? So how many legs do we have? 4c plus 2h is equal to twice of how many heads? C plus h plus 14, right? 4c plus 2h is equal to 2c plus 2h plus 14, right? H cancel. 2c is equal to 14. C is equal to 7. So correct option is 7, okay? Now again, we have here some logic questions, okay? Now in that given statement, so we have to assume this statement is true, okay? Some bags are purses, okay? So there are lots of bags, okay? And within that bags, some of those bags are purses, okay? Now how many purses are there? All those purses are containers, which means some of the containers are purse, okay? And all the containers are suitcases. So how many containers are there? All those containers are also suitcases, which means some of the suitcases are containers, okay? Now here we have 4 conclusion, and we have to see which of this conclusion can be drawn from these 3 statements, okay? Statement, some suitcases are bags. So this is true, right? Because some bags are purses and all these purses are containers and all these containers are suitcase, which means some of this suitcase will be bags, right? So some suitcases are bags. So this is correct, right? All bags are purses. All purses are bags. Now see, only some bags are purses, right? Which means not all the purses are bag, right? So this is wrong. All purses are suitcases. Now see, all purses are containers and all these containers are suitcase, right? Which means some of the containers, all purses are suitcases. So this is also correct, okay? And lastly is some containers are purses. So some containers are purses. This is also true because if all the purses are containers, which means some containers are purses, okay? So it's like this. If all x are y, that means some y are x, okay? So it follows like this. If all x are y, then some y will be x, right? Similarly, since all the pairs are containers, so some of the containers will be purses. So this is also true. So out of this, first, third, and fourth sentences are true. So the option is D, okay? It's related to loss in the same way as congratulation is related to achievement, right? Because whenever there is a loss, we say a condolence, right? And whenever there is an achievement, we say some form of congratulations, right? 192. Most dresses in that shops are expensive without resolving anything. So here there's one statement is given, okay? So this will assume this statement is true. Most dresses in that shop are expensive, which means that most of the shops, most of the dresses are expensive in that shop, right? Which means there are some dresses which are not expensive also, right? So the first sentence is there are no cheap dresses available in that shop. So this is wrong, right? Because just because most dresses are expensive doesn't mean that there are no cheap dresses, right? Handloom traces in that shop are cheap. So this is because the sentence does not talk anything about handloom, right? So we'll just ignore that statement. There are cheap traces also in that shop. So this statement is true, right? Some traces in that shop are expensive. So this statement is also wrong because it already states that most traces, right? So it is like this, right? Few, some is more than few, which is then most and all, right? So since already most traces are expensive, so we can't say that some traces in that shop are expensive, right? Because already most of the traces are expensive. So the correct option should be C. Okay, there are cheap traces also in that shop. 193. Pointing towards a person, a man said to a woman, his mother is the only daughter of your father. So here it says that his mother is the only daughter of your father. How is that woman related to that person? So the correct option is A, okay, mother. 194. We just, here we have a word, okay, quarrel. The word given is quarrel, and we have to see the water image, okay? So which means QUARREL, right? So we just need to upside down quarrel, I guess, to upside down all the alphabets. So the correct option you will get is A, okay? Now here we have a question in question number 195. So here it deals with mark price, cost price, and selling price, okay? Now suppose we just consider the mark price as X, okay? Person. So in that shop, right? In that shop, a particular object was marked as say X, okay? But he bought it with a 25% discount, right? So he bought it with a 25% discount. Then after that, after buying it, he sold that particular product with a 10% profit, okay? And how much did he sell it for? He sold it for 660 rupees, okay? So we have to find out at what price was the product marked, right? Now we all know selling price is equal to cost price plus profit, right? Now how much did he sell it for? He sold it for 660 rupees, right? We don't know at what cost price he was bought, right? But what is the profit here? Profit is 10%. So which means 10% of cost price, right? So it's equal to 660 plus is equal to CP plus 10% is 0.10 CP, right? Which means 660 is equal to CP plus 0.10 CP is 1.10 CP. So CP is equal to 660 by 1.10 is equal to 600. So this is the cost price, okay? Now, we also know that cost price is equal to mark price, right? This loss, right? Mark price minus discount. Since we are buying it at a discount of 20%, right? So see, the mark price was something, right? And it gave a discount. So that is the price at which the person bought the product, right? Or in other words, you can say discount is equal to cost price minus mark price minus cost price, right? So what is the discount that he got? 25%, right? 25% of mark price, right? Is equal to mark price minus how much was the cost price? 600, right? So 0.25 mark price is equal to mark price minus 600, right? So mark price minus 0.25 mark price is equal to 600. 0.75 mark price is equal to 600. So mark price is equal to how much? 800, okay? So the correct option is D. So it describes here a ball pen factory decided to reduce its production by 10% over that of the next previous month, okay? For the next 3 months starting from February, in January 2025, it produced 3,000 ball pens. How many ball pens were produced in March? So in January, it produced how much? 3,000. Now it wants to reduce by 10% every month, okay? So which means in February, it will be 3,000 minus 10%, right? So 3,000, 10% of 3,000 is 300, right? It'll be 200,700, okay? So in March, again, it's going to reduce by 10%, right? So 2700 minus 10% is equal to 2700 minus 270 is equal to 2430, right? So the correct option is 2430. Now question number 197. Here we have a box, right? Now this box can be folded, right? It has, and it can be folded and form a box, okay? So we have to find the number on the face opposite to 5. So opposite to 5 will be what? 3, right? So the correct option is 3, right? If you're going to fold here, you're going to fold here. This face will become opposite of this face, right? Option is A, right? Now here we have a graph, okay? We just have to find the difference between the maximum cells of P. Now maximum P la maximum to gimana sih? The maximum is this point, which is between 80 and 90. So the difference will be 85, right? And minimum cells of Q. Minimum cells of Q. Q graph is this. Minimum cells is this, which is between 30 and 40, which means it is 35, right? So the difference is 40 crores. Sorry, 50 crores, right? 5, 8 minus 3, 5, okay. So we just have to find the difference between these two, okay? Do the following graph carefully and answer the question, okay? So here we have a graph and it shows the import and export. The light gray is the export and the darker color is the export, okay? Over a period of 2021, 22, 23, 24, and 25 from a country, okay? Now, in which of the following years was the gap in the import and export list? So we just have to see the particular year in which the gap between export and import is this, right? Here a little bit of, here also gap is there, here also gap is there. Here the gap is so less, right? So which year is it? It's the year 2024, right? So the correct option is A, right? And lastly, we have question number 200. Now here we have to see. So the marks scored by the students are given in the form of degrees, okay? 70 degree, 90 degree, 80 degree, and 65, 55 degree, right? It's not given in terms of marks. It's given in terms of degrees, okay? And we know that the total degree is how much? At the center is 360 degree, okay? So this is a pie chart. Now, assuming that the total marks are 540, subject in which the students scored 105 is. Now, let's see each subject, okay? In Hindi, how much did he score? 70 degree, right? Which means in terms of marks, it is 70 degree divided by 360 degree. What is the total marks of the examination? It is 540, right? So if you divide it, 9 4 are 36, 9 5 are 54. So it is for Hindi, first is Hindi, 70 degree divided by 360 into 540. So he scores around 105. Okay, 105 marks. So the correct option is Hindi. Okay, 70 degree, right? Hindi degree is 70 degree. Total degree is how much? At the center is 360 degree, and total marks is how much? 540, right? So if you multiply, you'll get 105 marks. So these are the 200 questions that have been asked today at the NSSB examination. Okay.
Sir. Sir.
Yes.